Welcome, Gen Chem Nation. Here in this video, we're walking through the syllabus, everything that's expected of you as well as expected of me throughout our time together here in fall of 2022. This particular syllabus is for 31B, but realize that if you're in my other sections of 31E and 31F, that the syllabus is pretty much the same. I'll highlight the differences, but for the most part, they're exactly the same. To introduce myself, my name's Eric Ruggles. The best way to get a hold of me is by email or Teams. You'll be added to a Teams list. I recommend getting that app and getting on that. It's a nice, easy way to chat, keep up with the calendar, other aspects of Teams, which are really nice to help our communication. But the best way to get a hold of me is by email or by a text over Teams. My office is in Innovation 333, or we can conduct a lot of things in that virtual ethereal as well, as far as using Teams as a platform to meet virtually as opposed to meeting in the office. It gives us actually a lot more time possibilities to meet. Right now, my office hours are Tuesday, Thursday from 2:30 to 4. There might be some changes to that as we get closer to the semester, but for right now, that's where they're going to stand. In-office hours are by appointment, so you just need to talk to me to set up an appointment between that time frame. I do things by appointment so that students don't have to wait outside my office, that we have half-hour blocks, or if we need more. But the things are set up so that you're not sitting and waiting for the ability to talk to me, or I'm not sitting there twiddling my thumbs and can find something else to do. Also, I know that we all have crazy schedules, so I know that not everyone can fit into maybe in office hours, but I'm open anytime to set up virtual office hours. So I've met with students late at night, early in the morning. Depends on the schedule and the need. But again, that virtual office hours thing is again by appointment. So the trend here is to look at your schedule. You need to talk to me. Send me an email, send me a text, and then we can figure out a way to get together so that we can discuss chemistry, discuss shop, what have you. For my B section, we're looking at a class time of Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 to 9:45. My E section is actually from 4:25 to 5:40 p.m. Same day, same time, or same day, Tuesday, Thursday. And then my F section is from 1:15 to 2:30. So that's class time, and our class time is always spent in Innovation E102. I will be putting our meetings in class on Teams as well. So, I mean, if we feel like we're sick, or something else is going on, that we have the ability to access class time through our dorm or through a computer setup. Not a reason to not come to class. Coming to class is where questions are answered. If you're attending the class remotely, I'm not looking at a thread to answer any questions that you may have. So those would have to be questions that would come later. I focus in on the students that are actually attending the class. We have a number of course objectives throughout the semester. We're going to talk about matter, unit conversions, stoichiometry, etc., etc., etc. right? So that's looking at, all the things that we're going to be talking about with course objectives. Textbook, there are a number of options with the textbook. Basically 4 that we see here. You can buy the whole textbook from the online website. That's really kind of the most expensive. Um, Option 2 is to buy it at the UVM bookstore. We do get a slight discount there, and you will have all the necessary tools, for the class with that option. The most economical would be the 4th option, which is just to basically either purchase a used textbook, because we've used this textbook quite a few years now, as well as buying the Mastering Chemistry online assessment tool that we're going to be using. So Mastering Chemistry is really required for the course. We'll do some homework quizzes, etc., that are actually there. Um, uh, Buying Mastering Chemistry Access, you could also just buy the digital textbook as well through that option 4. Kind of the most bang for your buck is really the bookstore option, but the most economical is option 4. Either of these options will allow you to be successful in general chemistry. But I think the 2 requirements that we need are the textbook, and we need Mastering Chemistry. Assignments and lecture. So throughout the semester, I'll be giving you homework assignments, and these homework assignments are broken into modules. So each chapter within the textbook has a module assigned to it. So chapter 1, module 1, chapter 5, module 5. And these can all be found by clicking the assignments link in that top left navigation pane for Blackboard. Each of these modules contains a bunch of things. They contain lecture videos, homework problem sets, as well as homework video examples of me doing problem sets. Basically, at the end of every week or before every class, I will be assigning you homework, which are going to include all these 3 options: lecture videos, homework problem sets. And so what the student needs to do is to watch these lecture videos prior to coming to the actual class. Try some of the problems. I'm not saying you're going to get through all of the homework problems. You don't have to get through all the homework problems. But I do suggest that you attempt them. When we come to class, we will be working through problems throughout class. Class time will be spent talking about lecture topics, but very briefly, very quickly, very generally. And then most of our time will be spent actually working on homework problems and problem sets within the actual classroom. So the student that gets the most out of this lecture scenario is the one that reads, or I'm sorry, not read, but watches the lecture videos, takes notes, treats that as the lecture, as their homework, attempts some of the problems, and realizes where their successes are and where they're still confused, and then realize in class as we go through these problem sets together that confusion then will dissipate, that we'll be able to have time to work on these things again on our own, as well as be able to ask questions in that classroom setting. So that's how assignments and lecture actually kind of works. Class time, again, we talked about class time. This is the B section here that we see in text, but remember, E and F sections have different times. But again, that's where we're going to be going over homework and talking about things. I also have discussion boards within Blackboard. It's another place to get questions asked and answered. But I think usually the easiest thing is by email or by Teams. It was a great way to ask those questions outside of our time together. Office hours, we discussed a little bit already. I have those office hours above from 10 to, I'm sorry, it's not 10, it's 2:30 to 4. There might be some changes there, but that's where we'll start. Again, the big thing here is setting up a meeting, right? So I mean, a lot of our question and answer stuff can happen during class time, but if you feel the need to meet privately, right, we just need to set up that meeting. So just reaching out to set up that meeting is super important. In terms of extra stuff that's given besides the class, besides the lecture, besides the homework, I also post old exams from 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019. These can be found on Blackboard as well. However, I would not recommend studying those solely. Realize that these questions are in depth and can come at you from a number of different ways. So, 1 year I can ask a question one way, another year I can ask it another. In our 2022 year, I'll ask it slightly a different way. I mean, the concept is the same, but the wording is going to be different. And oftentimes that's enough to really confuse a student as far as changing an if to an and or a then to a but. So these practice exams that I post are really for you, the student, to get a real game day experience. We've all had the experience where, myself included, where we sit in an exam hall and we just blank out. There's just nothing there. And that's because we haven't practiced enough. Maybe we've used the key too much. But these practice exams, I'm trying to give you that experience, but in the library or in the dorm room, right? If you treat it like a real exam and just take it with your calculator, your pen, pencil, useful information, you'll quickly realize what you know and what you don't know. And I'd rather you have that experience, before the tests. Then we can have time to work on those deficits, as opposed to during the test. The real work is the homework problems that I assign in the assignments. That is where you will see every single angle as far as how these questions can be asked of you. So the practice exams are more like a real game day experience to give you a gauge as to where you're at. But doing that homework and doing it repetitively throughout the semester, not waiting the week before or the weekend before the exam to start doing the homework, but actually doing your homework a little bit each and every day is really going to lend yourself to really good success in the class. I hold recitations or review sessions throughout the semester. These will be held Monday evening from 6:45 to 7:45. This is normally one of our, part of our exam block. Normally our exams will be Monday evenings from 6:40 to 9:40. So when we don't have an exam, I use this as a review session. I don't come prepared. The students are supposed to come prepared to these review sessions with questions. And I assume that the students are working on homework, have questions, and so here's another option for us to get together and discuss some chemistry. Also, the Sunday before an exam, I will also hold a review session. So not only those Monday evenings, but the Sunday before a mid-semester exam, I will do one as well, and we'll be doing this in the morning from 9 to 10:30. This is also on Teams. So both of these recitation review meetings are virtual. In terms of grading, and we'll get more into grading, but we have a couple of different pieces within the lecture. The first piece is homework quizzes. There are 10 homework quizzes that will be graded out of 12. There will be a total of 12 given. These are basically end of chapter quizzes. So once we're done with a chapter, I'll assign a homework quiz to be done. Normally we have about 5 to 7 days to complete the quiz. There's no time frame in, once you start and once you end. You just have to get everything done before the actual final due date. These are homework quizzes, so you have basically 3 chances to get each answer correct. But there is a 25% reduction in points for each mistake. I label these as homework quizzes because they are homework, meaning that you can use any resource necessary to help you with the quiz. I'm not saying to just look up the answers, but I'm saying that if you get one wrong, take a step back and figure out why you got it wrong, and learn from that process, and then come back to the question. You can look in the textbook or our notes or what have you for similar problems that are answered in a similar style. So use that as a learning tool. The most of the points that we will be dealing with is exams. Exams are not every Monday, but are on Mondays from 6:40 to 9:40 p.m. Basically once a month. Um, as far as location, your lab schedule or lab section really designates where you will be taking your mid-semester exam. We can see that below here at the very, very, very bottom. So we have a bunch of different halls to take the exam, but it's all based off of your lab section number. There are no scheduled makeups. If things are problematic as far as sickness, things of that nature, you need to be contacting your dean's office. Dean's office needs to be contacting us. You should be contacting us as well, so that there's just no confusion as to what's going on. There'll be 3 mid-semester exams, and the mid-semester exams are written to take about an hour and a half for students. Um, so that means every student really gets actually 3 hours to take the exam. Technically, that is double time if we're looking at access accommodations. So for mid-semester exams, access accommodations will not be granted. The only time access accommodations, if you are an access student, the only time that time accommodation will be granted will be for the final. There's, we can't have anything, not, no cell phones, things of that nature are allowed, et cetera, right? And the only thing that we can use is a non-programmable, non-graphing calculator, right? If you do not have one, you're going to have to get one. That is the only thing that is allowed. If you get caught with a graphing calculator, you could receive a 0 for the exam. Usually we're not that strict. I have extra calculators that I can give you, but again, you'd be working then with a calculator that you might not be familiar with, so that could also hurt you during the exam. Exam dates, as we see below, pretty much once a month: September, October, November, December. So those are the exam dates, and then below that is the exam location. So depending on what lab you're in, tells you what room you need to actually go to. So that's the lecture. Second half of this course is really the lab. So with the lab, one thing to realize is that labs don't start for 2 weeks. So you have a 2-week window here to get some of this stuff together. Lab manuals are all found on Blackboard. You'll have a separate course on Blackboard besides CHEM031. You'll have your lab there as well for the CHEM031 course, and so that's where you can find all your experiments that you need to print out before coming to class. Lab notebook can be bought at the UVM bookstore. Safety eyewear as well can be bought at the bookstore. Very important. Make sure you get the proper safety glasses, protect our eyesight. Lab attire, basically we want a lot of our skin covered, so there's no shorts, no short pants, low capris. Shirts can't expose the mid or the back or the shoulders. So basically we're looking at just normal pants and t-shirts or long sleeve shirts, and then you can't have open toe shoes. So you need to have full shoes that are covering your skin. Again, we're trying to protect our skin from the chemicals. I mean, if we do get chemicals on ourselves, a shirt we can take off, but getting on our skin, then that's another priority. Prior to start a lab, which is that 2-week window, you just want to make sure you have everything, right? Your lab notebook, your safety glasses, you've gotten onto the Blackboard website, you've taken the lab safety and academic integrity modules. These are quizzes that you'll find in that lab website. And so you need to get those finished before class actually occurs. Attendance, attendance in class, it happens that you might miss class. I'm not worried about it because I post, notes of the classes as well as video notes of the class. But for lab, it's very important that we actually attend to really get the experiential portion of the class. So if you miss more than 2 labs, you get an automatic F for the course. That's not an F for the lab, that's an F for the entire course of general chemistry. So you need to make these labs. If things go astray and we get sick or whatever, we need to be in contact with myself or, more importantly, Christine Cardillo. She is our lab director, and she has the ability to reschedule labs if you're sick on one day and then can reschedule later in the week, or just as far as talking about, missing a lab, she is the one to talk to. Lab videos, these are videos, we have a YouTube channel where basically showing you kind of the ins and outs of the experiment that you're doing, from week to week. This is a good way to kind of help with understanding maybe some of the quiz questions that are coming our way, setup of laboratory, equipment that'll make your, experience in lab much more facile in terms of really already having an idea of what's going on before you go in. The format is basically with lab it's a 2-hour, almost 3-hour, thing once a week. When you first arrive, you tend to hand in your pre-lab. Right, we're just kind of just giving a synopsis of what you're doing that day. Also do a post lab from the previous week's lab, which is really kind of like a lab report. And then the lab instructor will go through a small lecture, a recitation to try to connect the lecture to the lab material, and then you'll get into the actual experiment. And then there should be enough time to get that done, as well as clean up and everything else by the end of the time frame. You'll get a lot more information from the lab. As far as the lab is concerned, once labs begin, once you have that first lab meeting, your TA will go through a more ornate lab syllabus than what I have posted here. Course grades. So here's how we calculate our points. Lecture has a total of 750 total points. That comes from 3 mid-semester exams that are 125 each, as well as homework, which is the homework quizzes, which is 125 points, and then finally the final, which is 250. So adding those all up throughout the semester, we get 750 total points. So most of the points in this class are from lecture, and most of those points are coming from the actual homework problems that are assigned. One thing that I do in the semester is give us the realization that, not every exam is going to be top notch. Sometimes we get sick. Sometimes we're just not, up to speed. Sometimes we only have like 3 exams during a week. So I do have this policy where the lowest mid-semester exam grade will be replaced by the percentage of the final, so long as that mid-semester exam is your lowest. So if the mid-semester exam is lower than your final, the final will replace it. So for example 1, notice that our student had a problem with exam 2. The other exams are actually okay, pretty decent. And then for the final, the student got a 75%. So notice that has been replaced with that lowest mid-semester exam score. So since the 45 was the lowest percentage, the final was higher as a 75%. The final score, the 75%, actually now is going to count twice. It's going to count once for the final. That's going to still stay the same, but it also will now count for exam 2. With example 2, the final is the lowest. Student does about the same throughout the semester. So since the final is the lowest, there is no replacement then. Right? I'm not trying to make the grade worse. I'm just trying to make the grade better. So if you get a low ball exam, realize that you're not stuck in the water or shot in the foot, that you still have the ability to, work harder, and work towards that final, and getting a better score there will then, replace that low ball exam. And then once we're done, we would just add up all the points and divide it by 1,000. Here is lab points at the top. There's pre-lab questions, technique, post-lab questions. These all get bumped in together to give us 250 points. And so that's where the credits are split up. We have 1,000 points technically, 750 or 3 credits to the class, 250 points or 1 credit for the actual lecture. I'm sorry, for the actual lab portion. So that's how we split up the points, and then dividing by 1,000 gives us our percentage. So we just need to use really this kind of equation at the bottom is really just adding up all of those points and then divide by 1,000, and then that will be our percentage for the semester. We don't post the grade borders yet because we have, about 1,400 students through multiple sections, and not just myself as an instructor, but other instructors. So we all sit down at the end of the semester and then figure out where the grade borders are going to be. So it just depends on how we do as a class. Academic integrity. Don't cheat. If you're caught cheating, you'll be brought up to charges with the Center for Student Ethics and Standards. It's not a fun adventure. I've had to do it a few times. I don't like to do it. I don't like to be the bad guy. realize that you're over 18 now, realize that you should have morals and ethics, realize that you need to be a better person, realize that, what you do to prepare for the exam is then how you should do on the exam. So just don't cheat, don't rely on others, right? Rely on yourself. Uh, Next is the tentative lecture schedule. This is just kind of an idea, give me a general sense of how we will go from week to week. So we have the dates on the left, what we're covering as far as chapters, and then on the far right, all the homework problems that are assigned for each and every chapter that's there. I will be also breaking this down in terms of Blackboard announcements. So after every class, I will say what we've gone over, right? I will say, what homework is relevant, because of our discussion, as well as then, looking towards the next class. This is what we've been doing for the next class, to keep you appraised of all the problems that are being assigned. So instead of having all the numbers, I will be breaking down these homework problem sets to a class by class setting. But if you want to see what's coming your way, here's everything that will be assigned at one point or another throughout the semester. And then we have our important dates like exam 1 at the bottom, covering chapters E, 1, and 2. Again, the double star there is saying it's tentative. It really depends on how far we actually get. But every chapter here is broken down into all that will be assigned for the fall recess for the 14th, as far as vacation days, last day to withdraw, Thanksgiving holiday, our biggest vacation, etc., and then the final. So everything is kind of mapped out here in terms of one spot to see what everything is going to be assigned, or what's going to be assigned. And then we have the lab schedule. Your lab syllabus will be a little bit more neat with this area, but just here I've just shown going from week to week that what lab you'll be doing, and then how that correlates to the lecture modules. So notice that first 2 weeks, again, the 29th of August through September 9th, right, there's no lab, right? We had 2 weeks off in terms of that particular portion of the course, and then we start up the week of September 12th. And so here are all the experiments and lecture correlations. And again, your lab Blackboard site, lab syllabus is going to have much more detailed information with all of these experiments. Kind of wrapping it up, access accommodations. If you're an access student, I suggest we talk to one another, either in person after class or in office hours, whether it be in office or virtual, or talking over email or Teams, so that we both know what accommodations possibly need to be addressed, and how we can address them. Religious holidays. I don't have knowledge of all the religions and all their holidays. I guess you could say I'm a Lutheran. I understand those holidays, or Festivus. I understand that holiday. But if you're practicing Muslim or what have you, I'm not familiar with all of those important dates to your faith. So please just give me a heads up as to if there is a conflict occurring because of your practice. These religious holidays are on the calendar, right? Obviously, they're kind of set in stone, so to speak. So if you are a practicing person, you know what those dates are. You just let me know what those dates are, and we can work from there. If you're sick, the first thing you want to do, a lot of students go to the Center for Health and Well-Being, and that's good because it helps you with getting better, but they don't provide medical illness notes. So besides going to the Center for Health and Well-being, you should also contact your dean's office. The dean's office then sends a letter to me, verifying the illness as well as your other professors, and then that helps us then to grant accommodations depending on what is going on. That could be illness in terms of you being sick. That could be things worse like a death in the family or something of that nature, or something that's kind of out of your control, where you're going to be missing classes. Go through your dean's office and contact them so that they let us all know, all your professors know what's going on. COVID-19 accommodations. This is I guess almost getting old now. But if you're feeling sick, stay home. I post the lectures online live. I also post the video recordings of the lectures. You have every ability as a student to miss class and not get behind because of all the information that I provide you. I'm not saying that's a reason to miss class, but I'm saying that if you feel sick, let's not start to then infect others, right? And try to think of your peers, your friends, your teachers, and trying to keep them safe as well. If you're just missing class, that's really not that big a deal. You can always talk to me over Teams or email. We can get you caught back up. Again, like I say, because as you will find out, I post a lot of information with regards to uh, not only tools to help you out, but also any types of class tools that we're talking about live in the classroom. Some other help support sites to maybe help you all as mainly freshmen. As far as health and safety, there's the Center for Health and Well-being, which is very helpful. There's great counseling services through CAPS. Care is another good service that helps for students that are you know that you might want to that you're concerned about as a member of UVM. So it allows us to also reach out and help out other students within our classroom that we think need help. Alcohol and cannabis aren't the best things to help us with learning. I'm sure we might know that. Oh, a great one, diversity, equity, inclusion. We have a lot of great facilities on campus. We have such a great, diverse, eclectic community here at UVM. And so we have a lot of different places to really to shine in those areas, such as the Interfaith Center, the Mosaic Center for Students of Color, the Prism Center, as well as the Women and Gender Equity Center, are all great places to meet people that are similar, cultural or sexual diversity, right? And we try to really promote that as much as possible. Lastly, grade appeals I don't see too often, or FERPA rights. I won't talk to your parents, so, so don't worry about it. So that there is pretty much the final. We will go through the final a little bit the first day of class, but expecting you to watch the video and get a sense of what's going on through the video, and then any questions we can tame out that first day of class, so we're aware of what is required of us and to be successful in the class. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Talk to you later.